Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update from NFL News Now. The Dallas Cowboys Thursday injury report has once again turned into one of those dense, eyebrow-raising lists that make fans hold their breath just a little longer than they'd like. The team that started the season with such promise, flashes of dominance, energy, and optimism about its youthful reinforcements, now faces another hurdle in a season already defined by inconsistency and unpredictability. This time, the new concern centers on rookie left tackle Tyler Guyton, who's dealing with what the team described as a glut injury. Yeah, you heard that right. Not exactly a headline-grabbing injury type, but in the trenches of NFL football, every muscle matters, and this one could have ripple effects for an offensive line that's been searching for rhythm all year long. Guyton was officially listed as a limited participant in Thursday's practice session, which typically means he was able to do some drills, but probably not everything the coaching staff wanted. That status can mean a lot of different things depending on context. Sometimes it's precautionary, sometimes it's the early sign of something that could linger. And for the Cowboys, any disruption up front, especially at the left tackle position, is far from ideal. The former Oklahoma Sooner, drafted in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, has been something of a bright spot in what's been a roller coaster campaign for the Cowboys offense. He started 6 games so far this season and missed just one, back in Week 5, during that gritty win over the New York Jets, while recovering from a concussion. According to Pro Football Focus, Guyton has allowed only 1 sack in 259 pass-blocking snaps, which is impressive for any tackle, let alone a rookie protecting Dak Prescott's blind side. The Cowboys coaching staff and front office have been open about how much they value his athleticism and composure, and they see him as a cornerstone for the franchise moving forward. So when a guy like that pops up on the injury report, fans notice, not because of panic, but because of what he means to the team's identity and offensive cohesion. Now, before we start throwing out worst-case scenarios, let's take a step back. The Cowboys have been cautious with their players this season, perhaps more than in previous years, and there's a sense that this glut issue might be more about management than anything else. Remember, it's a long season, and with 11 weeks still to play, load management is becoming a common theme across the league. Still, a lower body injury for a lineman, especially one who has to anchor against bull rushers and set firm edges against elite pass rushers, is something the team's medical staff won't take lightly. The timing also doesn't help. The Cowboys are gearing up for a tough Week 8 road test against the Denver Broncos, a team sitting comfortably at 5-2 and riding high after a pair of convincing wins. Denver's defense, particularly its front seven, has found its groove lately. And if Tyler Guyton can't go, that immediately raises questions about how the Cowboys will adjust, who steps in, how that affects the pocket, and whether the run game will take a hit. Dak Prescott has quietly been playing cleaner football over the last few weeks, making smart reads and avoiding the turnovers that plagued him early in the season. But much of that success has come from improved pass protection, and that protection starts with Guyton holding his ground. You take him out of the lineup, and suddenly, Prescott might have to speed up his internal clock again, forcing the Cowboys' offensive scheme to shrink a bit. Guys like Chuma Edoga and Matt Waletzko would likely be next in line, but neither offers the same combination of size, balance, and awareness that Guyton brings. Offensive line coach Mike Solari has done his best to build continuity among his starters, yet every new injury resets that delicate balance. The broader picture here is that the Cowboys' injury report this week reads like a reminder of how fragile things can get in the NFL. The list was already lengthy before Guyton's name was added, and though there haven't been major changes elsewhere, there's one storyline that just won't go away: Trayvon Diggs. The star cornerback remains in concussion protocol after what the team called a home accident last Thursday night. Yeah, not even an in-game collision or practice mishap, an accident at home. That twist caught everyone off guard, and while Diggs reportedly avoided anything more serious, concussions are unpredictable. He missed last week's 44-22 victory over the Washington Commanders, and though there was some initial optimism from head coach Brian Schottenheimer, it now appears that the Cowboys are taking things one day at a time. Schottenheimer's tone when addressing Diggs' situation earlier in the week was both measured and philosophical, a reflection of how the NFL grind can twist even the best-laid plans. This is the NFL, and if you're unsure what's going to happen, just wait because something is going to happen, he said, offering the kind of weary wisdom that comes only from experience. And you deal with it, and you don't lose sleep over it. The biggest thing is just the concern for Trayvon that he's okay. But seems like he is. It was the kind of quote that tells you everything and nothing at the same time. The coach wants to sound reassuring, but knows that concussions are no small matter. Fans have seen how those protocols can drag on longer than expected. Team owner and general manager Jerry Jones also addressed the Diggs situation after the Commanders game, saying he'd spoken directly with the cornerback, but declining to share any details about what exactly happened. Jones, ever the showman but also the gatekeeper of team narratives, didn't want to fuel speculation. What he did emphasize, though, was that the team's focus is on Diggs' long-term health, even if that means keeping him out longer than initially planned. That's the responsible move, but it's also one that leaves the Cowboys' secondary in a tricky spot. Without Diggs, the defense loses not just a Pro Bowl talent, but also one of its emotional leaders, a guy whose swagger and playmaking ability often set the tone for the entire unit. So here we are. The Cowboys sit at 3-3-1, right in that frustrating middle ground where the season could still swing either way. They've shown flashes of brilliance, but just as quickly, they've fallen into stretches of inconsistency that make it hard to trust what's coming next. And the injuries, they just keep coming. Tyler Guyton's situation might not seem catastrophic at first glance, but it's emblematic of the bigger picture, a team that can't quite seem to get all its key pieces healthy at the same time. Football fans know how crucial chemistry and continuity are, especially on the offensive line. Every rep matters, every adjustment counts, and when you start shuffling bodies, the whole rhythm can collapse. If Guyton ends up sidelined on Sunday, expect the Cowboys to lean more heavily on quick passes and inside runs to mitigate the impact. Prescott may have to work more with tight ends and backs in protection, while offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer could be forced to simplify the game plan. The Broncos' defense, meanwhile, has been opportunistic lately, generating pressure from multiple fronts. Denver's edge rushers, led by the explosive pairing of Jonathan Cooper and Baron Browning, will be licking their chops if the Cowboys are forced to field a backup left tackle. This is the kind of matchup that can turn a close game into a long afternoon if the protection breaks down early. Still, the Cowboys have been through adversity before. The key now is how they respond, and whether they can prevent this latest setback from snowballing. There's still enough talent on this roster to make a push, but the margin for error is shrinking fast. Tyler Guyton's health will be monitored closely over the next couple of days, and the final injury report on Friday will likely tell the full story. If he's upgraded to full participation, that's a massive sigh of relief. If not, the Cowboys will once again be forced to test their depth and adaptability. At the end of the day, this team's season will hinge on more than one injury report. But in moments like this, you see the patterns, the recurring theme of next man up, the constant balancing act between urgency and patience, the unrelenting physical toll of the sport. Cowboys fans are used to drama, but they'd much prefer that the headlines involve touchdowns and trophies rather than MRIs and protocols. Tyler Guyton's glute injury might sound minor in the grand scheme of things, but for a franchise desperate to regain stability, even a minor strain can feel like a major storyline. As Week 8 approaches, all eyes will be on how the Cowboys handle this crossroads. Can they keep their momentum alive despite the setbacks? Can they protect Prescott long enough to let him find his rhythm against a surging Broncos defense? And, perhaps most importantly, can they start to build the kind of consistency that separates playoff teams from pretenders? The answers, as always, will come on the field, but the warning signs are clear. In the NFL, health is currency, and right now, the Cowboys' account looks like it's running low. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. All right, buckle up, because this one is going to shake the NFL world if it turns out to be true. There's a storm brewing deep in Texas, and it's not about the weather. It's about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that's right. The whispers are getting louder, the rumors are spreading like wildfire, and the talk behind closed doors is that Dak Prescott's time with the Cowboys might be coming to an end. I know, it sounds crazy. Dak is the guy in Dallas, the face of the franchise since Tony Romo hung it up. But the league is a business, and when things get tense, when contracts, egos, and playoff failures start mixing, anything can happen. And right now, the buzz is that Dak might be ready to walk away. Or worse, the Cowboys might be ready to move on. For years, the story in Dallas has been the same. The Cowboys enter the season with Super Bowl dreams. The hype is sky high. The media is all over America's team. And then, it all falls apart in the postseason. Dak's numbers always look solid on paper. He's a 4,000-yard passer. He's composed. He's tough. He's a leader. But somehow, the big wins never come when they matter most. And Jerry Jones, for all his patience and loyalty, is a businessman first. He's obsessed with winning, and it's been nearly 3 decades since Dallas last lifted the Lombardi Trophy. That drought is starting to sting. And the rumor now is that Jones might finally be ready to shake up the core, starting with his quarterback. Let's rewind a bit. When Dak signed that massive deal back in 2021, 4 years, $160 million, with $126 million guaranteed, it was supposed to lock in the Cowboys' future. It was Jerry saying, "You're our guy." It was the team saying, "No more QB drama." But here we are, only a few seasons later, and the mood feels different. Dak's contract is entering its final stretch. His cap hit is massive for 2025, and extension talks? Crickets. Nothing solid. Nothing promising. That silence alone is making people inside the organization nervous. And when you add the whispers from league insiders, guys saying the Cowboys might explore a younger, cheaper quarterback or even make a blockbuster trade, it starts to feel like something real is brewing. Some people close to the team are saying Dak's camp is frustrated. They've seen the lack of public support lately. They've heard the post-game pressers where Jerry and Stephen Jones dance around questions about his future. They've watched as analysts on national TV tear Dak apart after every loss, questioning his leadership, his accuracy, his ceiling. And maybe, just maybe, Dak himself has started wondering if he's done everything he can in Dallas. Maybe the constant pressure, the criticism, the weight of being the Cowboys' quarterback has worn him down. Because let's be real, that's not an easy job. It's not just about football. It's about living under the biggest microscope in the league. There's also the locker room angle, and that's where things get even more interesting. Sources close to the team, the kind of whispers that never make it to ESPN's ticker but float around NFL circles, say the vibe in the building has shifted. Some players still swear by Dak. They say he's the heartbeat of that locker room, the first guy in, last guy out, always accountable, never pointing fingers. But others? They're starting to question whether he can really take them to the promised land. Whether his style of play, as smart and composed as it is, can overcome the kind of powerhouse defenses you see in January. You can feel it, the quiet frustration, the tiredness of hearing, maybe next year, over and over again. And you can't talk about Dak without talking about the expectations. This is Dallas, man. Every season feels like a movie premiere, and Jerry Jones is the director, producer, and star. The Cowboys brand is worth billions, and every Sunday, the spotlight burns hotter than anywhere else. That's what makes the situation so complicated. Because on one hand, Dak is one of the best quarterbacks this franchise has had in decades. Statistically, he's elite. But on the other hand, he's tied to years of heartbreak, playoff exits, and what-ifs. It's unfair, but in the NFL, perception is reality. And the perception right now is that maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys have hit their ceiling with Dak Prescott at the helm. Now, the big question everyone's asking is, where could Dak even go? That's the fun part of this rumor. There are several teams that would move mountains to get him. Teams that are a quarterback away from contention, teams with cap space, with offensive weapons, with coaching stability. Think about it. A franchise like the Atlanta Falcons could use a veteran leader. The Raiders, always looking for a big name, might jump in. Even the New York Jets, if things go south with Aaron Rodgers again, could come calling. And imagine Dak in a different uniform. The headlines, the media frenzy, the new chapter. It would be wild. But let's not forget, this could also be a leverage play. Maybe Dak's team is letting these rumors swirl on purpose. Maybe they're trying to push Jerry into action. A new deal, more guarantees, a stronger commitment. It wouldn't be the first time a star quarterback used the power of the rumor mill to make ownership sweat. Still, even if that's the case, there's something different about the tone this time. It doesn't feel like the usual off-season chatter. It feels like something deeper, like both sides are quietly preparing for the possibility of a breakup. And think about what that would mean for the Cowboys. Moving on from Dak would be massive, not just in football terms, but in identity. He's been the face of the team for almost a decade. His jersey sells like crazy, his presence is steady, and he's been through the highs and lows of this era. Replacing him wouldn't just be about finding another quarterback. It would mean starting over, rewriting the entire script. Jerry Jones would be betting the future of the franchise on whoever comes next, whether that's a draft pick, a trade, or a gamble on a free agent. That's risky, but Jerry has never been afraid of risk. Still, if you listen to some people inside the Cowboys orbit, they'll tell you Jerry's patience might be running thin. That NFC playoff loss last season, the one that ended in heartbreak again, hit differently. The owner's box was silent afterward. Jerry's post-game interview was tense, full of pauses. You could hear the frustration. He said things like, "We've got to evaluate everything," and "I'm not satisfied." That's not just talk. When Jerry starts using words like that, it usually means big changes are coming. And the biggest change of all could be the quarterback position. Here's the other piece of this puzzle. Mike McCarthy. The head coach has been on the hot seat for what feels like forever. His future is already uncertain, and if the Cowboys decide to move in a new direction at QB, it might be part of a total reset. New coach, new system, new identity. That's why this rumor has legs. It's not just about Dak's performance. It's about timing. The contract situation, the postseason failures, the leadership questions, they're all colliding at once. It feels like something's got to give. If Dak really does leave, though, the story won't end there. You can bet he'll have a lot to prove. Every interview, every throw in his next uniform will be about redemption, about showing the world that the problem wasn't him. It was the system, the pressure, the unrealistic expectations. And that's why, deep down, part of me thinks Dak might want that fresh start. Imagine him in a calmer market, surrounded by a front office that doesn't play politics, with a fan base that appreciates steady leadership without the daily drama. It could rejuvenate his career. For Cowboys fans, though, this would be devastating. Dak isn't just another player. He's been the constant through a decade of chaos. From that magical rookie season to the comeback from injury, to the moments of brilliance that kept hope alive, he's been part of their identity. Losing him would sting. It would divide the fan base. Some would cheer for change, others would mourn the loss. Either way, the Cowboys would never be the same. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But the word around the league is that Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys might be heading toward a split. It's not official, nothing is confirmed, but the smoke is getting too thick to ignore. Maybe it's just off-season drama. Maybe it's the beginning of the end. Whatever it is, it feels like we're watching the slow unraveling of a partnership that was supposed to bring Dallas back to glory. And if this really happens, if Dak walks out of AT&T Stadium for the last time as a Cowboy, it'll be one of the biggest stories in football this decade. Because when the quarterback of America's team leaves, it's not just a roster move. It's a cultural earthquake. And here's the thing. In the NFL, things change fast. One conversation, one phone call, one leaked report, and everything flips upside down. So keep your eyes on Dallas. The next few weeks could be wild. If you start hearing chatter about mutual separation or no progress on contract talks, you'll know what's up. Maybe it's already happening behind the scenes. Maybe Dak's camp has started testing the waters, reaching out, seeing what's out there. Because in this league, rumors like this don't just appear out of nowhere. They mean something. So yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe the Dak Prescott era in Dallas is quietly ticking toward its final chapter. If it is, it'll mark the end of an era, one filled with promise, heartbreak, controversy, and a lot of what-ifs. Whatever happens next, one thing's for sure. We're about to find out just how much both sides really want each other. And trust me, this story is far from over. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.